I think we've now got a pretty good idea of how our chocolate cake factory works. So we're now going to flip on over to a new Dartpad instance and write out a little bit of code to model our chocolate cake factory using streams. So to get started, I'm going to first flip on over to Dartpad inside of a new browser tab. Quick reminder, you can get here by going to dartpad.dartlang.org. Then once over here, I'm going to first get started by declaring my main function. And right above that, I'm going to import one library called import Dart async like so. So the async standard module that comes along with Dart contains all of the code related to handling and creating streams. Now before we write any stream related stuff inside of here, I'm going to first declare two classes that are going to represent the different entities that exist inside of our little chocolate cake factory right here. The first class I'm going to make is going to represent the order that a customer takes and hands off to our order taker. Then the second class I'm going to make is going to represent the completed cake that gets thrown out the other end of our factory. So back inside of Dartpad, I'm going to first make my class cake. Now this class probably doesn't really need any properties associated with it, so I'm just going to put down a set of curly braces like so. And then I'll also make my class order. Now the order definitely is going to have a property associated with it, probably the type of cake that we want to have our factory create. So I'm going to add on a string variable to this that I'll call type, and we'll create that order anytime we call create that type anytime we call the constructor for order. So we'll define the constructor, and I'll say this.type, like so. Okay, so we've now got a class to represent the cake and the order that we hand off to our factory. So now inside of my main function, I'm going to create a new instance of something called a StreamController. So I'm going to declare a new variable called controller, and that's going to be a new StreamController like so. Now at this point, you're probably thinking, Stephen, what's this StreamController? We've been talking about streams all this time. So let's talk about what a StreamController is very quickly. First, a quick reminder. Remember, outside of our factory, like outside of it, completely decoupled from everyone in the factory to a degree, was someone that we called our order taker. And anytime we had a customer come up to the factory, they took their order and they handed it off to the order taker. And then that person turned around and just threw the order into the chocolate cake factory. So with that in mind, let's talk about what our controller does for us. All right, so we just created a StreamController. When we make a StreamController, behind the scenes, we get two additional objects created for us automatically by the StreamController. And those two objects are assigned to two properties on the StreamController instance itself. One is called the sync, the other is called the stream. So the sync is our ability to add new data into our stream. So in our analogy, the sync right here would be like our order taker. It's the entity or the person who takes some new value and then just turns right around and hands that value off directly to the stream. So you and I do not manually reach into the stream right here and try to add values to it. Instead, we always use a sync to add values into a stream. Similar to how our factory worked. We didn't have our customer come up with the order and just throw it into the factory. The customer handed off the order to the order taker, and that order taker did something special with the order to add it in the correct fashion to our factory. So that's the purpose of our sync. And we only get the sync because we created this StreamController. Okay, so let's write out a little bit of code to create a new order and then hand it off to our sync that was created with our controller. So I'm going to say final order is new order. And for this first order, I will make it, how about a banana cake? I'll then look at my controller. I'm going to reference the sync that was created with it. And then to add a new value or to pass a new value into the sync so the sync can pass that off to the stream, I'm going to call the add function on the sync. And I'll pass my order in there, like so. Okay, so that's kind of step one right there. We have now created our order through our customer. Our customer doesn't really exist here. We're just pretending that there's really just the order, but we created that order, we hand it off to the order taker hands the order off to the stream. So let's take another quick pause right here. We'll come back to the next section and we'll start writing out the code for our order inspector. So quick break, and I'll see you in just a minute.